Okay, it looks like we are live for another edition of Tango Roundtable. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is well, and I hope this is live because I can never tell when this starts. So if you are watching, please say hello in the comments, and also please tell us where you're checking in from. And we welcome you with open arms. So thank you so much to all my panelists that have decided to join today. We do have 2 people, yay, we are live. We have a wonderful group of panelists from all over Europe today. And the topic today is talking about being a woman DJ inside of Tango. And we have 4 women that have been DJing for quite a while. Some of them are teachers as well. Some of them are organizers as well. And they've run the gamut of different kinds of experiences, starting out when they were first starting out, maybe when there wasn't so many other female DJs that they saw. And then to others that have felt that they kind of jumped in and were really welcome with open arms. So we want to share all different vantage points because they're all valid. So again, yes, say hello if you're just joining in. Say hello in the comments. We would love to hear from you, and we'd love to know that who's listening in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and have everyone introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with a person to my left, right? That's Sonia. So I'm going to have Sonia introduce herself. She's a repeat panelist.
Hi, Christina, and hello, everyone. Thanks once again for doing this, and I hope all of you will enjoy what we have to talk about today. As you see, my name is Sonia. I'm coming from Belgrade, from Serbia. I do various things in Tango. DJing is one of them, and I started DJing, I think, maybe 8 years ago or something like this. Christina, do you want now to say in short how we started DJing? This was the idea.
Yeah. Let's do that, yeah.
So I started DJing, I started working with tango music because I was teaching at the time, and then I had to prepare it for classes almost every day, and then eventually for practicas as well. And then since we organized milongas also, my partner encouraged me a lot to try to play music at milongas. So I tried it once, I liked it, people liked it. And then from time to time, I would be DJing at local milongas. And then we had a situation that for New Year's Marathon that we organized, a DJ sent a message 2-3 days before the event was supposed to start that his girlfriend desperately wants to be at another place, and he simply cannot say no, which was, of course, completely understandable. And I said, of course, no problem, just have fun. But then there was a question who is going to DJ instead of him. And since it was a new year and 2 days before the event, it was impossible to find anyone. So I simply jumped into that chair and that situation, and it was successful, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I received invitations for some other events after this set. So this is how I started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sonia. And let's have Gabriella be introduced next.
First, to unmute. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you again, even if it's online this time. I'm happy that Christina did this for us. I first started DJing back in 2010. It was a local milonga. My friends were opening a studio, a big studio that became very famous afterwards, and we were trying to create a Saturday night milonga, and we did not know exactly what DJing means, but we wanted to have something like this. And they gave me this opportunity because I was coming after a very complicated year that somehow made me want to stay in tango after a dark period with the death of my father and then an accident that put me to bed for 3 months. So I was wondering what to do with tango if I cannot dance anymore, but I wanted to be there on the scene, connected. So I used that time when I stayed in bed for listening to all the tango music, and I grew on this, and I channeled all my energy for later. Luckily, I could come back to dancing as well, which is a more complete experience as a DJ. You also know how people are feeling from the dance floor. So basically, to cut it short, this is my story.
Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing more from you. Let's have Hiba next.
Hi, nice to see you all. I am Hiba. I'm from London. I am. Oops, I've lost my earbud. I'm one half of the team that's behind Tango Fever in London. We're one of the main tango schools in London, and we organize some events. We have a weekly practica and a lot of classes. I started DJing similar to Sonia, not really by choice. It wasn't something I intended to do. We, at the time, started organizing this free outdoor event. And because it was free, we didn't really have a budget to pay a DJ. And several friends of mine at the time in London who were DJs had thought that I would be a good DJ. I never really knew what was that based on. So because we didn't really have a budget, I thought, fine, I'll do it. And it's free, and if it doesn't go well, no one can really complain. No one paid for anything. And it went really well. And on that day, I was invited to DJ at one of the main milongas in London at the time, the Dome. It was quite an iconic milonga that unfortunately has closed since, not because of my DJing. And then I was asked to become one of the resident DJs there. So I had a once a month set. And very soon I started to get invited to DJ internationally. It was around the time that there was a kind of growing or exploding even tango scene in Europe. There were more events, there were more festivals, there were more marathons. So I was around that time. I DJed for about 10 years, and around 3 years ago, I made the decision to stop for various reasons. One of them was I wanted to travel less. I wanted to air travel less, but I still wanted to dance. So it meant that I could pick fewer events to go to as a dancer. And I still put a playlist in our weekly practica, but that's not really what I personally consider DJing. So some people think I'm still DJing in our local practica, but that's just, a playlist. It's a practica. That's my story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hiba. And lastly, we have Sarah.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. And I guess I'm in this group. I'm the little rookie of DJing. Honestly, I have no clue when I started DJing, but it also kind of just happened naturally in the local milongas here in Stockholm. I think the main reason was there were no good DJs, and everybody asked everybody to please start DJing, pretty much. And I had a good teacher, Joel, my husband. Sorry, that's my cat. He sounds weird sometimes. So I had a very hard but good teacher in him. And also we've been DJing a lot together. Mainly, actually, nowadays we DJ together, which is a lot of fun. I recommend that, actually. If you find someone, you can, work with. So I started doing that, not really by choice. I just did it, and then it became a big interest. And I love the music, and it's something magical that you create also. I mean, you can prepare however much you like, but you always need to be creative in the moment. And I think that's the part I like. And it also reminds me of tango, the dance, that you're there and you have to create something there in the now. And I like that about the DJing part. Like I said to you guys before, mainly I DJ in Sweden and also in Buenos Aires every year when I'm there for a couple of months to just, holidays and dancing. Not this year though. That's me.
Thank you so much. So we have one comment which I think is very interesting. Eileen, she's been DJing for 17 years in the New York area, and she says she's never faced discrimination because she's a woman. And when we've talked yesterday, it seemed like most of you didn't face outright discrimination. Like you've had multiple pleasurable experiences. A lot of people, you felt that a lot of people were very generous with you and helping you open doors. However, when we talked yesterday, we did understand that even though maybe none of you would say that, let's see, you would ever want to be chosen based on like filling a slot for a gender role slot, right? Making the headlines be 50-50 with men and women. However, you all did kind of acknowledge that you don't actually see that kind of equality happening at these mostly international tango events. In some instances, they do happen. So, on the one hand, we can say that we don't want to be chosen based on our gender. Everyone wants to be chosen based on their merit. But we do see a discrepancy of, we acknowledge there's so many good women DJs, but they're not always being chosen for those international events. And we were pontificating on why that was the case. And I would love to hear, I would love to start from that place. So thank you, Eileen, for kind of saying that. If you want to speak to the opportunities that you've had or some of the challenges that you see happening inside of these international events of why maybe women wouldn't have been chosen. And I would love who would love to kick that off, or I could just sort of ask somebody. How about I'll start with Hiba? Because Hiba, I think, was one of the, I know, sorry. You've been, you were mentioned a few times for women and men around being one of the earlier DJs that they can remember, and a very popular DJ who also happens to be a woman, but you were a popular DJ in your own right. But you did notice that there were not a lot of women, and I'd love for you to talk to that.
So my experience was, when I started, I started from a place where I didn't realize that there was an issue, if there was one. Because very early on in my traveling, when I was not DJing yet, I saw a female DJ. I saw Barbara Melanita from Italy DJing in the festival in Lisbon. And I was also aware of Shori in the US. So I knew that there were women around, and kind of that was my starting point. It was only when I started to DJ internationally, I found myself very often the only woman in a team of 6 DJs, for example. It was very, very often the case. Later on, in the later years, perhaps there would be another one, but it was never ever a situation when we were equally men and women. Why that is, I think there are many reasons. I think Sonia had a very interesting perspective on that yesterday when we chatted as an organizer. So I will let Sonia contribute that thought later on. But I think I also, yes, so the other thing is, there is no shortage of female DJs in the local scene throughout, even now. I think in London, we maybe have as many female DJs as there are males. I know Paris historically had many female DJs who are still around and who DJ equally. I think this kind of discrepancy appears in the international scene. My theory is it's potentially to do with what we were used to, as in the norm is set by what happened historically, and historically there were more men DJing because there were more men DJs, and that never caught up, or there was a slight resistance to change because the taste was set in a certain way. I think sometimes we don't realize that our taste is defined to a certain extent by what we're used to. The norm is set by what is there, and what is there was a certain way, and we never fully corrected or changed from that. That is one theory. But
Yeah.
I think Sonia's contribution is very interesting. I've been thinking about it since we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, I'll have Sonia speak because Sonia has the, thank you so much. That's a really interesting and nuanced perspective, Hiba. At a local level, we're seeing a lot of women, and they're doing a wonderful job, but it's not translating to that international level. So that's a really interesting topic worth expanding upon. And from Sonia's perspective, Sonia is both an organizer and a DJ. And so she understands both of these roles of wanting to hire the best people, the best DJs, and what qualifies as best is subjective. But for her, rounding out an event with all these different kinds of DJs, and then also understanding that what representation is being applied to that. So please, I'd love for Sonia to speak to that.
Yeah, it's this thing that when you organize the event and you think about DJs, it's not that you do event for yourself. You do this event eventually for people, and as organizer, the crowd that is coming to your event. And what you want to offer is a variety of colors and shades and tastes that are created with music for people to be able to enjoy more, and also for everyone to find something that this person prefers. And then thinking about the DJing theme, as I said, is not always choosing what you personally like, but thinking from this perspective, trying to find the different people that will fill this one spot of that music takes in an event. And then it's not I know it's not really easy, and especially when you add this that personally I don't want to be hired as a DJ because I'm a woman, just because I'm a woman, and then I don't want to bring someone else for the same reason, because from my point of view I don't know, it's not nice, it's not really polite to this person, and then you end up many times with a majority of male DJs. But I'm not sure, Hiba, also if you were thinking now about the question of how men ask for themselves. This is what you wanted me to say. Yes. Well, I've experienced many times male DJs or men. You want to say something? Say.
I was thinking about the idea of energies.
Okay.
And especially at festivals and the larger spaces.
Okay. Okay. So to be a DJ is not just to play music. So it's not just the sound that comes out from the computer. It has to do a lot with how one represents this sound, how one brings this sound to the people. So the presence of the DJ behind this laptop plays a big role. And as we spoke yesterday, for local milongas, like if we speak about it, it's not easy to generalize things because nothing is black and white. But let's say that we have something that we can call as yang energy and yin energy, whether you like to say male or female or however. But I guess you all understand what I want to say. So to play at a local milonga, one doesn't need to have a lot of expansive energy to bring this music to people. But if you want to play at a bigger event, it's simply needed to have more of a strength behind this young or male energy or call it however, so that you can kind of hold the floor and people with this music. And this is maybe something that could play a role, so that we can say for men it's kind of easier to do this thing, because the part of their natural expression is more of this expansion, and this, as we said yesterday, to take the space, to feel free to expand yourself in the space around you. This is something that maybe also, historically speaking, is not very easy for all women to do because of the position in the society and like many other things. And this might be one thing that doesn't speak that doesn't help us, let's say, women, when it comes to DJing. That it's kind of easier for men. This, even though of course not all men do have it, but they kind of have it more. This freedom to be behind the laptop and to take the space and to kind of rule with the room.
Absolutely, and you know, when we talked about this yesterday, and we are speaking in general terms, but you know, and we've said like tango is kind of a microcosm of what's happening in the larger context of our world, where from a corporate perspective, from a tango perspective, men are very comfortable initiating and taking space and not seeking permission, and that kind of energy oftentimes makes them feel like they really are comfortable in the spotlight. They are comfortable leading this energy, and women oftentimes want to be less in the spotlight and less dominant, and that oftentimes maybe subconsciously influences the music that you choose or the risks that you take. So I would love we also have amazing comments here, and I don't know if you guys have read them. The first one was really, really interesting. Do you think that male DJs often become interested in DJing through their interest in technical stuff, i.e. audio equipment, or their interest in the history, and females more through their interest in the music itself? I would say totally. Who would love to answer that? That's a wonderful question. Go ahead, Gabriela. Love to hear your point of view.
I will try to do it, even if maybe not everybody agrees with me. I don't necessarily think that men DJs are focused mainly on technical stuff and categorizing things and building folders in a very orderly way, which I don't and I will never do. It's true they have more inclination towards this side than women. Maybe I haven't checked all your computers, ladies, but I can tell you one thing, that I heard enough stunningly creative male DJs so that I know that they are not only about this. And when they give inspiration or you get inspired by them, it means that there is much more behind that technical. Yes, maybe it's like the boys and their toys type of talk, but I wouldn't try to put all these things in they were with the technical and the women are sloppy or maybe more empathetic, or I wouldn't like to put tags. I met enough very soft-hearted and sweet DJs that are male. And I also met women that are trying to build up the super young energy so that they keep up with the men.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a discussion with many tones of gray here.
Sure. I think you know, their spirit of what they're asking, I think is in general a positive one, because maybe historically how people get interested in DJing doesn't always mean that they always lead with that, but the way that they come in could be through that technical side, that there's a curiosity around audio equipment and how the music sounds. And then it broadens from there. And similarly with women, I think you can come in from one aspect and then broaden from there. So for me, I wouldn't say that there's a right or wrongness to any of those, or a stereotype. It just could be plausible that could be a reason why how men would come in and how women might come in as well. Does anybody else want to speak to those kind of different energies? Sure, Hiba.
Yeah, I think the comment that comes to mind is a quote by Troilo. There's no good tango, and there's no tango nuevo, and there's no old tango. There's only good tango. And I think this very much applies to DJing. There's not really female DJing and male DJing. There's good DJing, and I think a good DJ can be equally male or female if they're balanced in their approach, and if it's well thought out, and if it suits the moment, and it's all the things that everybody knows and talks about. And I think this kind of discussion about woman and man can very easily get pulled into stereotypes, which can be unhelpful if we don't always pull it back to what makes a good DJ, regardless of their gender. And is this person I'm looking at and listening to right now meeting that criteria or not, without any preconceived ideas that I came in with? And I think very often when women DJs are criticized for being too much woman, I don't like women DJs because they sound too much like a woman DJ. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I would like someone to articulate to me what that is. And why is it that a male DJ is never criticized for being too much man? They're either good or bad, whereas a woman is bad because she's a woman. I think that's the issue. And pull it back to what is a good DJ and are we getting that right now or not? And I think you can very quickly kill any of the biases if you strip it back down.
Absolutely, yeah. Sarah, did you want to weigh in on any of these sort of either the comments that were coming into the right or some of your own personal perspectives?
No, honestly, what Hiba said is pretty much how I feel as well. I find it very hard and very difficult, and also already biased as a woman. Because I am a woman, and I'm sure I'm biased in so many ways just by being a woman. I can't say anything about the typical female or typical male DJ. I don't see that. And I don't know if I don't see it because I don't want to see it, or if I don't see it because it doesn't exist. I don't know actually, but for me it's about being a good DJ or a bad DJ. I've never heard anyone talking about a male DJ, I mean a manly DJ or a female DJ. I've never even heard anyone say things like this, because it's, for me, it's not even relevant. I think it doesn't have anything to do with what we're actually doing. So
Okay.
no, nothing more, I think.
Yeah.
Agreeing with Hiba a lot. But yeah, well, also what Sonia said, one thing. I don't agree to the male energy as some kind of more magical or heavier energy at the milonga. I think a woman have the same powers to take a scene, but also, like we discussed yesterday, men surely are more inclined to do it than women are, because we're still not used to taking that space in that way. So in this sense I could agree, but yeah. And honestly, one more thing, I don't have a problem with being chosen to DJ just because I'm a woman. I think that's just fine with me. No problem at all. Why not? If we say no all the time, again, we're kind of excluding ourselves. So if there's some women needed, I would never say no. I would say, sure, of course, if that's what's needed, until things get normal or equal.
Yeah, there was
yeah.
Of course, we can say that we are not biased, but all of us carry inherent biases around various topics. And they just a side note, there was a study done in the 1980s around orchestras, and in the 1970s and 80s there was like predominantly male. Let's say I don't remember the exact numbers, but let's say 20% female, 80% male inside of an orchestra, and there was an assumption that men were just naturally better, high quality musicians than females, and then when they did this blind study where they were just listening to the music, more often women were chosen to be just based on their merit as equal musicians than to men, and it became much more of a 50-50 choice. So it's interesting to kind of speak to biases that can exist, that we have some blind spots to those, but we can make an assumption that those exist even if we feel that they don't, and that can go for women and men as well. Because I've heard some interesting things for why men are better DJs, and of course they sound a peculiar. I remember hearing one thing where someone's like, men just probably understand what other men want to dance to, because there's this assumption that because men are leaders, they want Sonia, right? That men know what other men want to dance to. I know everyone's like, but that is something that someone has said to me. Like, I have heard of this, and I don't know what to say to those kind of things. If you want to reflect, if you guys, anybody wants to sort of say something to that effect, I would love to know. Yeah, go ahead, Sonia, and then Gabriella.
No, well, one thing that maybe, tango exists for a longer time, but we should not forget that tango started as a male thing. No, the society where it started, there was not really a topic of equality the way that we speak about it now. Things changed a lot. So the starting point of tango is a male dance in this kind of culture and everything. And now I think it still takes a bit longer. It still takes a bit longer to find more of a balance, because I don't know, what we are seeing still is that at many places male teacher is more important than female teacher. That there are more situations in which a male teacher is teaching alone than female teacher is teaching alone. And if a woman is teaching alone, then she's teaching alone because she's missing a partner. If man is teaching alone, it's because he cannot find a partner that is on his level, right? It's not what I think, of course, but I still hear this kind of things, and I'm still seeing this. And if we have this approach to one part of tango, we cannot expect that DJing will be completely purified and clean from this. So I think it still takes more time for the whole society, right? But also for tango, thinking about how it started, when it started.
Absolutely. I think that we're still in a stage where we're having those growth spurts of. We've made a lot of strides to kind of equal the playing field, but we do also recognize that male teachers tend to have more students or more privates or more whatever. Like they're somehow more respected in what they say. And even if pulling back even more, when you have an Argentine tango teacher come in, sometimes people respond more towards their Argentineness than the inherent talent or the inherent background that they're bringing. And people make those kind of judgments about authenticity, power, talent based on other extraneous features of that we don't have any kind of control over. So Gabriella, you wanted to kind of weigh in. I'd love to hear your point of view.
I wanted somehow to connect what Sarah said and Sonia said, because I'm personally, maybe it's a personality trait, I wouldn't want to be chosen as a DJ just to fill in a quota. And this is a long debate that I keep having every time we discuss the successful ways to become a DJ as a woman. But at the same time, I see your point that I haven't considered. Sometimes we have to do it just to be the pioneers, to open doors and to create paths for other women in the future who may want to join this stressful position, if I may add. This is for the quota part that we kept discussing yesterday. I would really like to feel better knowing that I am truly wanted in that DJ team, that I'm bringing that energy that is missing in how an organizer is creating their event. At the same time, I want to go back to the yin-yang discussion. I know that we all admired and we grew up with lots of events full of male DJs, many of them amazing ones. But at the same time, when I am invited, and even if I'm the only one on the poster, I truly want to go there with my in energy. I'm accepting totally that I'm a woman, and I don't want to become that young energy that all the men are already bringing on the team. So sometimes we may consider that the path to success is literally embracing what you are. Because why would I want to be the seventh young energy in a team that already has six male DJs? So from my point of view, when I go DJ, that's the only perspective I take. What is the added value or the different angle that I can bring to that event?
That's such a great point. And Sonia, I'll have you weigh in again. But, oftentimes when women want to fit in, it's like the idea is that how do I play this game to win? And oftentimes the bigger question and the better question is, how do I change the game completely, right? To not fit in, but to equalize with everyone. And that's a great point, that you don't want to change who you are to adjust to a trend. That what if we just really inhabit what we do, and that starts shifting what everyone becomes accustomed to hearing or wanting to hear. Sonia, I'd love for you to jump back in.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear a little bit more, this what I said before about yin and yang energy. And yesterday in a pre-call that we had, I gave Hiba as example, because Hiba is a tiny woman and very feminine, but she has this expansive energy. This is what I was thinking. So not a kind of characteristic of being having manly strength, but strength as young characteristic that can be part, of course, can be a part of yin expression. But this thing that when you see someone behind at the DJ chair, that this person radiates. This is what I was thinking, which really doesn't have to do anything with being trying to imitate men or trying to be someone who you are not. And I think, and sorry, Gabriela, and I think that this is a kind of characteristic that many really successful people do have. This is this expansive energy. This is what I was having in mind. I mean, just to make it clear, so that no one thinks that I was saying that like woman needs to be like a man,
No. What I was, maybe we should call it charisma, so that is not connected to gender, because one person can have a charisma despite being a male or female. I was just talking about the yin and yang energies in the sense of not going there to be overwhelmed by the fact that you already have 6 male that will be amazing, or they will take the space, and you are going to do what? Crawl under the desk? No, you have to be there and you have to fight, but you can fight with different type of tools and still take the room.
Yeah, Hiba, I would love for you to weigh in. By the way, delineating it, we're not saying young energy, we're saying, I'll say it in an American way, yang energy. It's that people were like, what is young energy? So yin and yang energy. Thank you for
expansive energy.
I just wanted to add, because it hasn't come up, and I think it's important to acknowledge, as obvious as it is for anybody, because I saw in the comments, DJs in various places were told that they prefer male DJs because they're leaders and they can, all of that stuff. I just want to acknowledge that 50% of the room, minimum, very often in Tango, way more than 50% of the room in a local milonga are women. So why is it? I mean, even if we go with the argument, which I don't necessarily agree with, that the taste is different, and if I go along with that for a little bit, And I will say, okay, fine. So why is it that we need to satisfy one and not the other? Or why is one more valid than the other when more than 50% of the room is women? So I'm not saying, that's the perspective. When I DJ'd, there were several kind of checkpoints that I wanted to meet. And one of them was masculine, feminine energy. When was the last stand that I played? Was it more of this or more of that? And then I it's one of the aspects, one of many aspects I try to balance. So yes, it is valid, but it's not a thing in itself, and it's not a standalone thing.
Right. So let's talk about, we said earlier that it's not just about playing good music or not, because, from my aspect as a dancer, I make an assumption going into a place that no one's going to play terrible music, right? Table stakes are that at least you're playing decent music. It's oftentimes, it's not good or bad. It's like an exceptional night, or it's maybe rather boring. But for good or bad, I think we often attribute musical taste or musical choices, including cortinas, including music, the sound quality, as being aspects that I would give to a DJ's benefit or not. And reading the room. So I think that there's a lot of, we've been speaking to these other aspects besides playing like the same 300 songs, right? They get played in various different compartments, right? So it's not about that. It's about something else that also needs to be created. And how would you kind of define those other aspects as well? Because when it's sometimes often beyond a DJ's control, right? Because I think about a good night for me is when I dance with good people to the right music, and the sound quality is good, and there's all these other things that make up a good night. And I rarely sort of pull out that the music was like the defining thing that made or broke a good night. Who would love to speak to that? Sarah, I'm going to call on you.
Well, yeah, I think for me, the absolute most important thing with a milonga is actually the music. So for me, if the music is bad, I cannot enjoy the good dances. Quite the contrary, I get so angry that I just go home because I can't work with that music, for instance. It could, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the DJ is terrible. Maybe I have a bad day. It could be that as well. But normally for me, it's all about the DJ. It's all about the music. And I'm happier in a milonga with good music and bad dancers than the opposite. Always.
Go ahead, Hiba. I love to hear you.
I kind of building on what you said, Christina, but I will give music more importance. I agree with Sarah. I think we're all there to dance, so music is primary for me, and I think it kind of is to creating whatever atmosphere one wants to create. But music doesn't exist in a vacuum, and this is what's often forgotten. So the DJ could be doing the best that they can with the music, but that's not in a vacuum, and other aspects need to be right for the night to be completely magical. And sometimes the other factors are things that seem really simple, like where the bar is and where people are standing.
Absolutely.
And thank you, amen. And exits and entry points to the dance floor, and all of these things. So it's really important to acknowledge that the music does not exist in a vacuum to those things. And a DJ is often, as a DJ, you have an easy night or a complicated night very often based on those other factors. And sometimes it's an uphill struggle all night because those other variables are really complicated. And I think an experienced DJ is working with those things. And sometimes you give it everything that you can, but if the flow of the exits and the entrances is not working for you, everybody's going to have a bad night. And there's a very good chance they're going to blame it on the music. And maybe the music was bad, but there's a very high possibility it was at least acceptable, as you said. And I think very few people are able to articulate those very subtle things, and I think that's okay. That's quite normal. But yeah, as I think as a DJ, you're working with the dance floor, but you're working with the lights, you're working with the temperature of the room, you're working with entrances and exits and where the bar is, and of course whether there are enough leaders for all the followers and all of those things. And your choices of what you play will be influenced by those things, definitely.
Right. And you said it beautifully. It's one part of like the whole package of how a night unfolds. And oftentimes the DJ probably will feel like the responsibility is put on them when maybe it's not really theirs to take, but we do that anyway, for better or for worse. And we are natural. I mean, I feel like tango people are natural complainers. Like we go in, we're like, it's too cold, it's too loud, like the wine's shitty. Like those are probably like my top 3 complaints. But I feel like I complain more about the sound quality than anything else. And going back to Pooja's, Pooja made a comment earlier in this thread that she makes a big effort to check the sound system and the sound quality, because she knows, notoriously, their DJs are working with normally terrible equipment. So they're trying to make terrible equipment sound decent, and we are working with recordings that are 80 years old. So we need to do what we can to make the sound as good as possible. And I know we mentioned that yesterday as well, that one of the things that is really challenging for DJs is working with subpar equipment. So does anybody else want to weigh in on those kind of aspects of the other parts besides the tango music itself? Like we talked yesterday about cortinas. Go ahead, Sonia. I'll have you jump in.
Yes, this is exactly what I want to say, cortinas. And I think that we all agreed more or less yesterday that cortinas are not more important than tango, but they are very important, of course. The way how you make this transition is like if you have people finishing the song with the embrace, what is going to be the first next sound that they're going to acknowledge, and then so what do they leave the floor with, and how do you make this transition to a new tanda is very important, because it needs to be a flow, but at the same time it needs to break the line of tango and bring a little bit of different energy, so that we are as dancers constantly hungry to hear more of tango. And I think that is very important to have cortina selected well and to play various types of music for cortina, because another thing is that in the room we often have people of different generations that in their private lives, apart from tango, they listen to different kind of music. So you want them to listen to some of their favorite sounds that's not tango. And I find it very important. I don't like very much when DJs are playing all the time same type of cortinas, because then it's kind of like a kind of flat line. I really prefer to hear a different kind of music, and modern and a bit older, and a really different kind of music. And one thing that now I remembered is that the tricky thing is that, and I experienced it many times because I live in Balkans, right? This is speaking of music, very specific area, and then many DJs from abroad, when they come for international events, they want to give a bit of this Balkan flavor and to surprise people from Balkan. And most of the time it's completely wrong music because what, for example, you in the States think that it's typically Balkan music is something that we say, oh no, my God, again. So when I go somewhere abroad, I really try not to impress locals with my knowledge of their music. So it's just not. I leave that to local DJs.
That's hysterical. I love that's a great tip. Like you're giving a great tip right now. Actionable tip. That's really, really
And this is also a tip for other DJs who are coming to play in Belgrade. Better not to play with Balkan music.
I love it. Yeah, I was speaking to a friend a few days ago. He's an organizer and runs events, and he really feels that the cortinas are a critical component, that a lot of times people that are obsessively tweaking their tango music, right, they sometimes forget that that's the bridge, and that's in essence like your personality. This is where like you kind of shine as a DJ, right? What are you choosing? Like what kind of musical bridges are you choosing that you think people will like, and also maybe showcases like what you like as well, and they kind of become a bit like your signature. And also kind of, if you are as an organizer, he was kind of remarking, he's like, okay, I picked this person because they are the late night DJ. And the late night DJ typically will play like party music or this or that, or like the Sunday afternoon DJ is like, has their mellow choices. And as an organizer, you are picking people that have a vibe, right? That they notoriously are creating a vibe. And whether that person agrees with that or not, that's how they're viewed from the outside. So does somebody want to speak to that? I found that I have a funny story that I'd love to share with everybody around that as well, but I would love for you guys to weigh in on it a bit more about what's that critical cortina nature. Go ahead, Gabriela.
I will touch upon these cortina things because I remember at my second international appearance, I had somebody coming to me telling me that, wow, I totally love your cortinas. And I was suddenly feeling so small, but what about my tandas? So it was this kind of discussion that you keep having, like, is it a compliment or not? But at the same time, I totally understood at that moment how important was for the people to have a certain feeling even between tandas. And yesterday when talking to you, I described this as the salt and pepper, or the condiments, the spices that you put with all the ingredients to make a beautiful, an amazing meal. At the same time, I don't know, because I also check the comments here, and I think I've seen even Samira, hi Samira, talking about music and the cortinas, and yeah, it is important how you pass from one tanda to another. It would be very difficult to change somehow the energy that you want to leave behind a certain orchestra. I would just mention maybe you don't want to put a hip hop cortina after a beautiful Kalo tanda that will like wake everybody up in is it a nightmare or not? Or you want somehow to...
I actually like that idea. That's me.
Nah, it will not be on my recipe, but try it.
I like a little bit of humor as well, like a little
yes,
bit
of course. Yeah. But I think that everybody has a musical background, as Sonia said earlier. We all used to listen to other things before, so we can pick funky, groovy, all sorts of nuances of music to play in between tandas. I think we can psychologically manipulate people even more.
Hiba, did you have your hand? Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, Gabriela reminded me, I have a funny story to tell about cortinas and also what you can do with cortinas. I was DJing at a festival in Italy on an island, and there were a lot of complications with that festival. And I think the weather was bad and it was stormy, and like things were really, really complicated. And I started to play certain kind of cortinas, and a certain vibe was created. And at some point, I played a particular cortina, and suddenly, like a group of people descended from the sides, and like they started dancing in the middle of the dance, so like a large group. So I made a decision, it was the right thing to do, to just run the whole thing. So I ran it, and people went nuts, and then I tried to go back to tango after that, and it was, I played a milonga tanda afterwards, because I thought, right, from here, what can I do? I need to take it to somewhere a bit lively, otherwise it's going to be difficult. I played the milonga tanda, and they carried on dancing the same like hip hop stuff to the milonga tanda. So then I kind of I faded it out, and I put more crazy stuff, one more track, and then I was sat there thinking, what do? This has never happened. I don't know quite how to go back to tango, because right now, this was like a beach place, and obviously this is what people need, but it was still the middle of the night. And then I think I went back to like a really strong pugliese, and that did it. But it was interesting to be in that position of like, right, I don't know how to make people dance tango again right now.
That's so great. I'm glad that you kind of went with what they were wanting, right? That's so funny. I wanted to tell my funny story about this idea of it being the music or it being the person playing the music. So I had a funny story a few years ago. I'm not really a DJ. I've DJed only a handful of times, but I DJed once at this event, and it was fine. It was a fine. I think it was just a fine job. I got probably some compliments, but about a month later, I had an Argentine friend visiting me, and right before he was DJing the same event. It was a monthly event. So right before he was DJing, his computer broke. So I said, no problem. Why don't you just play one of my playlists? It was just at a critical time. There was nothing he can do. So he did that. He changed the cortinas. So that was the one thing that he changed, but he basically played the playlist from top to bottom. And the response that he got from that music was like overwhelming. I mean, people literally said, nobody plays music like this here. And you just don't hear this. This is only Argentines play like this. This is so special. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I witnessing here? What's happening? And I relayed this to Tango Queens group, which is a group of women. And some people were like, that's terrible. That's horrible. And I'm thinking about it from a philosophical standpoint. I'm like, well, we are biased. And for them, it was the whole idea that he was there and he was playing for them and his energy. And that all contributed to the way that they interpreted the music tastes and the music structure that night. And I thought that was really interesting as a philosophical, way of viewing what we hear is influenced by so much of these external things. We've kept saying that before, but that was like an extreme example of showing what playing the exact playlist and somebody else playing it and getting a different response. So, and people really want to feel an authentic, that they're a part of this, something authentic and real, to what we were speaking to earlier, that what is this authentic Argentine experience? If somebody from Argentina is playing music for them, it's more authentic, it's better quality, it's better choices. And I don't know if anybody has any other funny stories like that, that they want to share or want to comment on that, but I found it funny as well. So I just thought I would share that. Pooja said the same thing happened to her. And she also said, when I play unusual things, I get so much criticism. But when someone comes from Europe or Buenos Aires and plays similar things, it's extraordinary. We also commented on this about men feeling like they can take greater risks. So we said this yesterday, when they take those risks and they fail, they were having a bad night. But when a woman takes those risks and she fails, oftentimes it's because she was a woman. Who was kind of referencing that yesterday? Either Hiba or Sonia, I'm not sure. That we're often judged by different metrics around when we take risks.
I think it was Hiba, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was similar but not the same. I think I said it in a different context, but I think there's definitely. I think there's maybe. Yes, I know what I said. I said women are generally under more scrutiny, so therefore, it might be that they will choose to take risks because they feel more scrutinized. There's a little bit less breathing space. I mean, it's not necessarily. It's also what you do with it, right? Then, as a woman, you need to make a choice. Do you make the risk? I think you can, but I think maybe it's harder because to take the risk, you need to earn the trust. And perhaps it's a shorter path for a male DJ to earn the trust, perhaps. I think that is probably a valid judgment to make. But I think to take any kind of risk, to be done well and to get the right response, you need to earn the trust first. So a good DJ will never play their discovery tanda or their risky tanda in the first half of the night. Generally, you kind of need to establish some, especially in a territory where people don't know you, or an event that you've not DJed before. Like, you kind of need to first let the people that don't know you have some reassurance that it's going to be fine. This person is, like we said, at minimum, it's going to be acceptable. Then you've earned the trust. Then you kind of start to weigh how much you can push. And I think that path, perhaps for women, is longer.
Beautifully said. Thank you. There was one more thing I wanted to ask. So from an organizer standpoint, I know that it's really challenging to take chances on new people because you want a sure thing. If you're running a large event, the last thing that you want is any surprises. So when people run event, correct me if I'm wrong. You really want to take the established people that you know and you trust. Not that they'll just also play good music, right? That's just one aspect from an organizer's perspective. But the other is that they are easy to work with, and probably you like them as people too. Like, those are all factors of why you would hire certain DJs versus not. And then to your point, Sonia, you want to create a structure around that. So how would people, you gave a great example, Sonia, of how would people be able to kind of find their entry point into events or get introductions or figure out how to get on people's radar if they want to participate in larger events outside of local ones?
It's I think it's not very likely if one who's not still already an established DJ sends an email to an organizer or a Facebook message, I want to DJ at your event. I don't think it's very likely.
Especially if they do it in another language.
Especially if it's in another language
that you don't know.
But even in English, even in your mother language, it doesn't really help. But what does help, and where the doors can be opened much easier, is at local events, at local milongas. And a certain number of DJs that was playing at our events, we met through local milongas. So someone sent a message saying, I'm available if you have a spot. I would like you to get to know me as a DJ. And I'm available, I don't know, in this period of the year. And then for the local milonga, you can easier do it, like invite a person that you've never heard, because like it's less problematic if it fails. Let's say it honestly. And in the previous years, we've been receiving this kind of messages from male DJs. This is the truth, from men. Is it a specific kind of courage that is needed to do such a thing that is maybe less to be found with women? I'm not sure. Now it's just a question, because I wonder myself the same. but this is the truth. And this would be an advice for all of young DJs that want to get promoted internationally, that they start traveling around to play at local milongas.
That's great. That's great advice. And interesting that it's only men that have approached you in those ways. So there seems like there's room for women, and an encouragement to take that leap, that brave leap, and ask how you can, if you can DJ a local event. That's great advice. Who had their hand up? I didn't. Gabriela, go ahead.
Yes, that was a great point that Sonia made. And now also reading the comments and seeing another comments from Samira earlier about women not talking that much about tango music, or not being that out there in presenting their visions. I do believe that we can also put more effort into this. Considering that we've seen so many tango DJing workshops that are constantly done by male DJs, but I haven't seen ones done by women DJs. Or when you're having DJing talks are always with men and never a woman invited, or at least to have some ideas presented. So I don't know if it's because we are not that upfront in promoting ourselves or sharing our vision, or maybe we are just built like this, like let the guys with the initiative take on, and that's it.
Hiba had her hand up. She was saying, I think that she meant that she was.
No, I was just saying I ran one DJ workshop, but I agree for the most part with Gabriela. It's not something you see a lot, and I don't think that's necessarily the fault of the organizer not giving that opportunity to women.
Indeed.
I think it's the women not
putting themselves,
not creating the opportunity for them. So not saying because for something like this you need to go out and say, I have produced this, I can offer this, I have this service, I have this workshop. And I think, but I also don't think that's necessarily a fault. I think it's just a matter of it hasn't occurred to somebody to do it. And it's also, to go back to something Gabriela said earlier, it's about role models. And with a lot of these things, very often it's about having seen it before. And if you've not ever seen somebody do it, it doesn't cross your mind necessarily that it's there as an option. Right. But that's why things like this talk are brilliant, because, you know, it just puts it out there as a possibility, all of these things.
Yeah, yeah. And Eileen says I do meet the music and tango DJ sessions. So that's great that there are women that are leading some music forums. I wanted to ask, and I want to actually get to Sarah, but if you want to comment on something else, please feel free. So one of the, hold on a second, there we go. Okay, so one of the things that you guys all said too is that you all had a lot of various support from male DJs as well, that encouragement or an introduction was made, or somebody gave you an opportunity, and not because that they were helping like the smaller person out, but because they genuinely respected you and wanted you to sort of succeed. And Sarah, I'd love for you to talk about instances like where you felt supported inside of tango, men or women, because I think that is also a critical component of becoming a better DJ, is feeling like somebody has your back.
Yes, I think for me, I never started DJing like just trying out DJing, you know, with no help from anyone. I mean, I had Joel, and he was very fierce in the way you need to be DJing, and it needs to be perfect, and you need to, you know, he had the whole thing. He also took lots of classes in DJing, and also we do give DJ classes every year. And there are so many who loves to, or who wants to start DJing. So we had quite some success with these DJ classes, actually. It's been much fun, and also helped us understand how people want to DJ, or or what it is that drives them to DJ. So I would say mainly I had him and to teach me, and then when I thought I was good enough, I dared DJing. And I've never met anyone saying anything bad, or everybody's so supportive, women and men, but I've never felt that someone was more supportive than another one. No, actually, no. So support from everybody, just plain
Great.
nice support, always,
Awesome.
always with everything.
Would anyone else like to speak to the idea of support and feeling like that other male DJs were giving you the respect and care that you were rightfully deserving?
I was also feeling a lot of support, and my main support came from male DJs. But there's one more thing that comes to my mind when we talk about support. A friend of mine a few days ago, a woman, told me that she started leading at milongas because she wanted to get friends with more women. Kind of, she wanted to get around with more women. And then she said, I've noticed that men in tango are kind of getting together more than actually we do. And then I was thinking about the fact that as a woman in tango, from the moment when you enter a tango world, women are more of competition because most of the time there are more women than men. And somehow women are thinking a lot in the terms how to attract the attention of men. And they are directing their thoughts at the milongas and classes and so on toward this. How do I get the approval and attention of the man? And therefore, maybe we are not grouping together enough. I don't know how else to say. And thinking about this man world and women world, if we divide it like this, that maybe men do stand up for each other more because somehow they connect more than we do. No, women often go to milongas just to dance with men and to have attention of men, while at the same time men are dancing, but they also want to talk, to have fun. I mean, as I said before, things are not black and white. But this, I was thinking about this. Like, why don't we support each other more? Why and why don't we support? Why the support that we have very often has to do with being on the other side from men. Like we support each other because we are women against the man world, while they are supporting each other just for, I don't know, for hanging out together, for being friends. For this is a question for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I think that I was supported more by male DJ because simply there were more of them around me. I think if there were more women, that I would be also supported by women, I guess, but there was simply much more men.
Go ahead, Hiba.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it is quite ironic. I agree largely with what Sonia said, that it is like that, and I find it quite ironic because generally speaking, in the world in general, women have more of this tendency to gather and to, to be a tribe of some sort. But I think something about the context of tango, and that's a whole other conversation of why that is, but there are reasons for why that is, that Sonia touched on, that can create that. And I think as women, one has to be proactively working to mitigate that, like being aware of that dynamic taking place and making choices whether to be sucked into it or whether to make different choices. I also, like Sonia said, had support by male DJs, but that's largely when I was DJing. They were the only ones around. So I think towards the end, just before I stopped, there were more women around, and I had equal number of male and female DJ friends, and we all supported each other. Like anything in tango, a big part of it is relationships, and you get invited because of how good you do a job, but also you want your friends around. So, my tip for anybody who wants to get involved in tango in any kind of professional capacity is to build your relationship, not in a fake way, not in a I want something from you way, but authentically. Give it time, be patient, get to know people because you want to get to know them. Patience, really, it takes time. And I think the younger generation sometimes see somebody and they want that thing and they want an express route to it. And there isn't really an express route. It just takes time.
Absolutely. Yeah, building those relationships. I totally agree. I just wanted to read some of the comments. Someone was asking if there is a all DJ, I don't know where that comment went. Is there an all female DJ milonga anywhere? Is it a topic of interest to the group? I think there was a marathon that was all women, or I think there's definitely one in DC. Was it Washington, in Washington State? I can't remember the name of it. But I know that I think it was all female DJs. And then Astrid, and I don't know if in Europe if there was the Tango Queens Congress. Was that the one? And then Astrid also said, well, I can only speak for myself as a festival organizer, teacher, and ex-DJ. I balance for the festival, the teachers and DJs. That is my default understanding. And if trans people around, I try to include them as well. That's really great. One of the things that another aspect of, I think, being an organizer that I've heard, especially with marathons, what is hiring male DJs sometimes helps them, because oftentimes there's not as many. The sign up is the women always get the followers. Those slots always get filled, right? And marathons, and then everyone's always looking for a partner to partner with a leader. So sometimes I know organizers make a lot of leaders the DJs because they need leaders in their events. I know sometimes some organizers have made those decisions. Some of the other comments. I don't know if anyone feels. I travel a lot this is from Astrid. I travel a lot as a teacher and visiting communities, and I am very sensitive who is there. I observe and listen, or I'm tracking what is going on in the different communities, who is really diving in the DJ and building up a reputation. Yeah, that's a great point. And another good question is equal pay a topic for you? Do you have an opinion on or experiences with this? Does anybody have an experience where they were not paid the same amount as a male? That's a good thing as well. All right, we've had amazing comments and questions coming through here, and hopefully you guys, if you feel compelled after this live, you can go and answer some of these questions, because they're really, really interesting, and a lot of respect given to all of you guys, and a lot of great thoughts here. So I would love to let's wrap this up, and we can go around, tell people what you're up to. And also what they can support you in. And also if you can give a piece of advice, Sonia, I know you already gave a piece of advice for anyone that's looking to DJ. It's either a great tip or a piece of advice, whether they're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter to me. But if you want to dedicate it specifically to women, that'd be awesome as well. So we're gonna give our wrap-ups now. This went by way too fast. So I'll have Sonia go and give her thoughts at the end. I mean, right now, pardon me.
Well, as the main advice, I think would be this that Hiba said: you have to open up yourself to go out in the world, to say that you have to share something, and to give time for building up the relationships. And also, as she said, many things come naturally. It just takes time. And also this fact that organizers want to work with their friends is completely normal, because whoever becomes an organizer will understand that if you have, I don't know, lineup of 10 DJs, it makes completely sense that at least 6 DJs are your good friends, because it is also kind of way
socialize.
To make
socialize,
the best,
right?
What? Yeah, to socialize, but not only that, to make, because you have, like, when you do the event, you have main organizers as the seat, let's say, the main thing that is in the center, and then you have circles and layers and layers and layers. And if people that work for you are also close to you, you know them, you know what to expect from them, then it's more likely that this event will be more positive, warmer, and so on. But of course, there's always space for new people. We as organizers just need to know about the people that are around. This would be my advice, together with the previous one. And the second part was to say what I'm doing, right? What we are doing. Well, at the moment there are not that many milongas. Unfortunately, there are no milongas, no events. So this part of the tango, of our tango life, is quite dead at the moment. Hoping that it will change soon. I was speaking in my name, not personally, but I'm standing behind, in a way, Tango Natural, an organization that exists for 12 years. And actually, today is our birthday, the 12th birthday. We are doing many things in Belgrade and the whole region. And if you are interested to get us know better, you can check out our website, tangonatural.com. There are really many things, and I hope to meet many of you who were listening us today, and that we don't know each other, to have opportunity to meet you in the future.
Thank you so much. Gabriela, advice or tips?
I don't know, I got a bit emotional now reading some comments. I don't know what to say, because sometimes we discuss in gender, but now I realize that for me it was maybe more difficult to be up there, because I was from Eastern Europe, the new kids on the tango block, let's say. But now that one of my let's say role models, my inspirations, just said hi, indeed, the jokes came instantly, like the country of tango. Yes, I'm from Romania, living in Bucharest. But I think this became famous due to one great DJ, male DJ, and his name is Florin Bulbuie, and he's here with us in this chat. And another one, to keep the gender balance, is present here. So thank you, Hiba, for being an inspiration and being a role model, because she was my role model, and I hope that I became a role model for other ladies that want to be DJs. Networking is the most important part. Indeed, networking is the most important part, and having total openness towards whoever wants to be your friend or shares the same feelings as you, because one thing that you cannot change in this world is that you cannot make everybody love you. So if you cut this out of your mind, then you are free to DJ wherever you want, as long as you are authentic. Put yourself out there with what you feel and what you believe, not what you think is the right recipe that made another DJ successful. Authenticity is always felt instantly. If somebody is literally copying a style, you can also feel it. So that's my tip. Stay authentic.
Yeah.
And network a lot.
Yeah. And get comfortable being your own self-promoter, or offering your services in a way, to Sonia's saying, at the local events, if there's people that you want to network with, offer to DJ, offer to pay your expenses to get there, and see what kind of relationships you can build from that. Thank you so much, Gabriela. Hiba, love to hear your bits of advice.
My advice is very practical, actually, because we talked a lot about theoretical things and kind of general ideas. My advice is very practical. If you're DJing, especially if you're DJing a long set, actually any DJ that is starting out, and make sure you have a buddy. to look after you at the event, because the organizers are often really busy and you might get forgotten. You don't have access to food and drink. The bar is far, the tand is running, you need to go to the toilet. Make sure you have a buddy who will look after these needs for you, who will come and check on you from time to time. If you need a drink, if you need some food, if you need to go to the toilet, they can watch your equipment while you're gone. Make sure no one plugs their phone in your computer to charge it, which does happen. So just, it's a small thing, but it's a really big thing. And I have not, one of the main reasons I was able to do the long sets that I sometimes had to do is because I had these angels around me. Very often they happen to be a DJ that understands how it is. But, if you don't have DJ friends, just give that job to somebody who's your friend.
Yeah, oftentimes DJs are like perched up in in a space like far away. So I never thought about that until you brought it up yesterday.
Oh, and also for the organizers, even though I don't DJ anymore, but it's a service for the current DJs. For the organizers, please give the DJ a comfortable chair, and if possible, make sure they're seated near the toilets.
And like cookies or something.
And enough drinks, sorry, and some food, enough drinks and some food.
Yes.
Excellent advice. And Sarah, what kind of advice would you give?
Oh, well,
wait,
I think my advice. Oh, sorry.
Hiba, do you have anything that you want to promote? Pardon me, I just wanted to go.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I am part of the Tango Fever team in London. It's tango-fever.com. Obviously, at the moment, our activities are pretty much at standstill, but sign up to the newsletter. It will help us out. My business, if you're kind of looking for something to do in the absence of tango, we offer online courses in all kinds of creative and movement-based things. That's Colomba with an A at the end, .online.
Thank you so much. Pardon me, Sarah.
Right. So what's left? Well, I think I'm gonna go very, very basic, and because I feel that there are lots of people who want to DJ for reasons I don't understand. So normally I ask the students to answer just one simple question, and that is, why do you want to become a DJ? Trust me, it's not the best job in the world. Why the fuck would you want to do this to yourself? That's the question. And if they respond, oh, but I want to play because I have a good taste in music, or if it's all about them, then I'm like, you're gonna be fucked, because you need to DJ for them, not for yourself. And yeah, you need to have that interest in other people, not in yourself, or showing off your amazing tango library or cool cortinas. It's about actually making a group of people dance all night. And this is, for me, this is the most important thing, but also very basic.
And do you want to share what you have going on or how people can support?
Well, I mean, I have a tango school in Stockholm, and we started again now in August. We started up the whole school, so we're good. We're giving classes every day, and people are coming. We're less people and everything, but it's going good. People really want to dance, so we're on again. We're good. I mean, if you're in Stockholm, if you want to take a class, come to us, stockholmtango.com. But otherwise, no, I'm good.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone that watched, everyone that commented so thoughtfully. I really, really deeply appreciate all that. And we'll write back to you guys. And of course, thank you so much to our lovely panelists, Sonia, Gabriella, Hiba, and Sarah. And we will see you next time on a Tango Roundtable. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.